Welcome back to another week of our Simply Sweet Sew Along. And can you believe it? This is the last row that we'll be working on today. And I think we saved the easiest row for last. It's our 9 patches. Before we go there though, let's look back and see what all we've accomplished. Hopefully you have a big stack of blocks in front of you, just like I have in front of me. I have my 9 patches, but we'll come back to those. We're going to focus on what we did last week. So last week we did our scrappy stars. Hopefully you have yours completed. Remember, they really weren't that hard. They were, I think, easier than the sawtooth star, and they look so cute. So we've got, should have 6 of these. So our sawtooth stars. And prior to that, our scrappy stars. And then, of course, prior to that, we had our sawtooth stars. Again, such a classic. You hardly can't have a quilt without a few stars. So we've got them. We've got our sawtooth and our scrappy. And prior to that, let's see, what were we working on prior to that? Oh, our little flowers. So we've got our tulips here, and I ended up on mine going with that strawberry reddish pink look for all of mine, which I kind of like. It's a color I don't use a lot, but I'm liking it more and more. Okay, so then prior to that, oh, our little houses, our charming little houses. And these, again, they weren't hard to make. We were able to put them together pretty quickly. Honestly, I would love a whole quilt just of these. But we only have 6 for this quilt, so this is our houses row. And then still my personal favorite, our mini magnolia blooms. So this is going to be both our first and our last row of our quilt. And if you enjoyed making these, Chelsea Stratton, the designer of this pattern, has 2 other magnolia patterns available. I believe one is just called Magnolia, and the other one is called Miss Magnolia, and those are even bigger. So Magnolia is like so these are our minis, then there's the Magnolia, and then there's the Miss Magnolia, which is even bigger than that. So anyway, that's on my bucket list to make a whole quilt of just the magnolias in the future. Probably the regular magnolia size, but I may go with the Miss Magnolias. Not sure yet. But anyway, we've accomplished a lot. So today, like I said, we'll be working on our 9 patches. And it just seems so easy that this video would be so short if that's all we did today. So I thought, let's just keep going. We're going to go ahead and make 1 9 patch together because honestly, it will only take a minute. There's nothing easier. I mean, this is about as basic as it gets. So we'll make a 9 patch together, and then we're going to go ahead and put the quilt together. I'm going to demonstrate my process for how I would lay out all the blocks, figure out which block, the order that we want them in. And so we're going to do that today. And if you notice my tray, it's full, not just of all of our blocks, and of course the pieces that we're going to use to put together our 9 patch. I've got that here. But I've gone on ahead and cut all of my borders. I've got my inner border. I've got my outer border. And I've even gone on ahead and cut my binding. So I've got everything ready to go. Well, and there's one other thing on this tray here today, and I'm still undecided. Matter of fact, I need your input. I had gotten this little decorative from Rick Rack vintage trim from Lori Holt, Be in My Bonnet. And I've been kind of toying with the idea of doing it at some point. So I had this, and I'm wondering if this is the time to use it. I kind of thought that I would use it maybe on something more like a pot holder, or hot pad, but I have enough that I think I could put a rim around the whole thing right before I put my binding on, so that's where it would be. So if I want your advice on it, do you think I should add this little rickrack trim? I mean, again, it's the Simply Sweet Sew Along, so I mean, it's already so sweet. Do we need any more sweetness? I don't know. So tell me what you think. All right, so that's the goal. So this, instead of being a short video, just doing a 9-patch, we're gonna actually put a whole quilt together. But before we get started with that, I did want to show you, I wanted to share one thing. So on the last video, I demonstrated using the Bloc Loc, which I love. And I said something about you need the actual size. And thank you so much to, believe it was Smith Quilter, at Smith Quilter, for your suggestion that actually you can size these down. So you don't need to have actual size. And I found that out afterwards. I enjoyed using this so much. I did a little more research on Bloc Loc and actually got a couple more sizes. So I now have the 2.5, the 4.5, and the 6.5. However, you really could just get the 6.5 and use it for everything, because you line it up and you could actually do one as small as what, an inch? I mean, so you really could use the 6.5 inch and size it down to whatever size you need. Now I do think having the smaller one for a small block is going to be easier, but it is nice that the Bloc Loc is so versatile, because it's a little bit pricey, but when you consider how much use you're going to get out of it, I think it's worth it. So I think these are available really at just whatever your favorite quilt shop is. It should be available just about anywhere, but I definitely now kind of like the mini simple folded corners ruler. Y'all know I bring that up every week. I love that. Well, I think Bloc Loc is going to become like that to me. Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention is what are we doing next? After we finish the Simply Sweet Sew Along, what's the next project? So I typically never just have one project going. Matter of fact, I just finished 5 quilts that I've been working on. Some of them one of them I've been working on for a year. I just finished that. That's the Fat Quarter Shop's mystery block of the month, using the My Summer House collection. It has been so much fun, and stay tuned to the end of this video. I'm going to actually show you my finished product. I actually have it hanging on a wall in my home, so I'm going to show that to you before the end of the video. So that one is completely done. I actually just finished it last week, so I'm so excited about that. The other one that I just finished was the, let's see, My So Quilty Life. She had it's called Springtime at Granny's. She would basically drop a video, or drop a link each week to your email, and you purchased it ahead of time, and every week we'd get, for a period of 9 weeks, we got the blocks. So I just finished that. Again, it was just 9 blocks, and that is, oh my goodness, it's so cute. I'll probably show that one today too, because it's just so cute. So both of those are finished. So I literally have been working, in addition to this one, I've been working on finishing up a lot of these quilts that I've kind of been doing for a while. Let's see, but I'm getting ready to start Fat Quarter Shop's mystery block of the month for 2025-2026, and that's using Corey Yoder's A Bloom collection. And I don't know if you've not participated in one of those, it really is a lot of fun, and it's a great way to improve your skills. You never know what you're going to get, but if it's coming from Fat Quarter Shop, you know it's going to be really good. What else am I going to be working on? So 4th of July is just around the corner. So I decided, I've actually had a couple of these Lela Boutique patterns that I've just been waiting to do. One of them is called Grand Finale, and this is Lela Boutique by Vanessa Gertson. And I have actual physical patterns for these, but I'll probably try to link, send a link in the description below if you're interested in getting these patterns. So this one, grand finale, as I began looking at it, it is lots and lots of stars, but it's so neat. They look like fireworks. And I thought with 4th of July, I really like that look. Okay, so this doesn't look very hard. It just looks like it's a lot of flying geese. So remember, we did some flying geese when we did our sawtooth stars. Well, there's lots of sawtooth stars in this, so if you like that, then you'll like this. But definitely I would say it's a little more difficult. Certainly it's a little more challenging than the other one I'll be doing, Miss Americana, which has absolutely no half square triangles. It's just nothing but squares and rectangles. So you might enjoy this one. I love to have a little bit of both. There's nothing like completing something challenging and following that up with something that you can just finish fast that's still going to be beautiful. So this just makes lots of flags. So that's my goal for two projects I'll be working on probably close to the same time, and I'll definitely be doing those as tutorials, making those available if you want to join me. Okay, so now that we've talked about what we have ahead of us, let's get back to our Simply Sweet Sew Along, because we still have a row of 9 patches to do today. So I've got all the pieces that I need to make this, and it's not very many. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this out. Always like to start that process first. And let's see. Basically just going to put these 5 pieces, make sure they're the directions you want them to go, kind of get that look you're looking for. And then you're going to come back behind it with your background squares and fill those in. Okay, that is all we need for this. All right, so we're going to go ahead and sew this, and this is the extent of the sewing for this row, is just literally sew these 3 together, sew these 3 together, these 3 together, and then we'll come back through and add our side pieces and then our top and bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do that process now. All right, as we shift over to our sewing machine, you'll want to just make sure that you have it set for 1/4 inch. And your stitch length, I'm actually going to adjust mine. I normally do a 2 inch. A 2 is the marking that I do for my stitch length. So everything is set up. Let's get started. All right, we're going to go ahead now and sew these together, and because of the way that I pressed them, they should nest nicely, but I will go ahead and pin before I sew each of these rows to make sure it gets that nice nest to it. So we'll go ahead and get these sewn up now. And just like that, we are done. So you're gonna have these put together in no time and be ready for the next step. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this table cleared off, and when it comes back on, I will have my quilt pieces kind of laid out. We may tweak it a little bit, but I'll have the whole quilt, all the blocks laid out here for us to take a look at. And then I'll show you my process, how I begin basically sewing those rows together. So see you back in a minute. Okay, I just finished laying out all of our blocks on my table, and it was a little short on the end, so it is hanging off. The first and last block of each row is hanging off just a little bit, but I think it's still enough that I can kind of see the look of this quilt. So at this point, I just kind of look at it, and like I said, as far as the layout, I pretty much just went directly by the pattern, Chelsea Stratton's pattern, and laid out the blocks in the order that the rows that she had listed. So now that I have it all laid out, I just look at, do I like the color placement of the blocks of each row? Now I go back with the eye and just see if there's any changes that I need to make. Let's see, I like the first row, the look of that. The second row, I think I'm gonna switch this one just because this is close to the same fabric there. Not that it's really gonna matter, and not that anybody's gonna look as close as I am, but that's the step. Okay, so then I definitely like the look of the tulips. I don't want to make any changes on that one. Okay, on this one, I purposely tried to stagger my navies a little bit, and then I have my teals on either end. See, I'm pleased with that look. I don't think it's any issues there. Okay, the houses. Think I may move this one down one. Actually, I think I'm gonna move this one here and this one there. Okay. I don't know that there's any right or wrong to this. This is where you get to just have fun. Okay, so then we're at the row of our scrappy stars. Definitely think I need to, because these colors are so similar. I think I'll switch these. Let's see. As are these. So I think I'm actually gonna move this one here. I like that. Okay, then our final row, I'm not liking this so close to that scrappy star because it's the same fabric repeated. Let me try this. Okay, I don't like that these are the same print, different colors, but don't like that they're so close together. So let me try, let's see. What if I bring this here? I like that there. I think I still want that. Okay, I think I'm liking this. So now that I've got my blocks laid out the way I want them, for my rows, what I typically do at this stage is I start stacking my blocks for each row, just like this. And literally here is the entire quilt right here. And I've got them in the row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the order that I need them. And all right, we will get started on putting our blocks together. So I will just, like I said, keep this assembly line going. Okay, so we finished putting together our first row, and I decided to go ahead and show the pressing stage of this. For this first one, again, what I'm going to do, because the actual block, you know, the points of these blocks, so basically you've got the points of your flying geese coming together. I'm actually going to press all of these open so it'll lay much more flat. So to do that, I'm going to press them all to one side first, and then I'll come back through and press them all flat. Okay, our first row is done. It is all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and start working on my second row. I'm going to end this portion of the video though at this point, but this is, you'd basically repeat this process all the way through for all your rows. If you look on our next row that we're getting ready to start, this is going to be much more simple. You're just literally going to be connecting your background strips to a background strip. So it's going to be much easier. And I think most of our rows are more like this. So the rest of them should go pretty quickly. This was probably the most challenging. So I will go ahead and get all these put together, and we'll take a look at them when I finish up. Okay, that took a lot longer than I expected, but the rows are complete. We have all of our blocks put together in the rows. So the last step to getting it just put together is now sewing the rows together. I'm not going to do that tonight. This is going to be part 1 of a 2-part series. So on our next video, we'll be putting all of our rows together and putting on our borders, making our binding. I told you that we would look at a couple quilts that I finished, so let me go get things set up and we'll go take a look at those quilts before we end our session today. Okay, so here is the mystery block of the month from Fat Quarter Shop for 2024 to 2025. This is the one that I just finished. The way that it works is they send you the fabric and the pattern every month, and that's the center, the block itself is what you received, the fabric and the center block. And look at what you have at the end of the year, something so beautiful. Okay, so here's a close-up of the actual free motion quilting on this one, and hopefully you can see the way the little flowers formed. Really, it's just a matter of doing vertical and horizontal squares, and then you just go back in free motion like this just go weave in it. Like, okay, so if I was doing it this, it just weaves in and out like this, and that's how you do it. And it was time consuming, but I mean, it was worth it. So anyway, this is my my summer house mystery block of the month from Fat Quarter Shop, and like I said, I enjoyed it so much. I'm definitely doing it again, and I encourage you to join me. All right, I'm going to switch this out and show you my last quilt that I wanted to show you for this video. Okay, so this is Springtime at Granny's by Heather Briggs. A lot of it is My So Quilty Life Heather Briggs. It's her fabric. She's a moda designer, but it's a mix. I use some of hers, I use some Corey Yoder, and I use some from my stash. So this is really a little bit of everything, but it definitely, I would say, is primarily Heather Briggs fabric from My So Quilty Life. Every Monday she would send you a new pattern to make the center block, and the first week she sends you the setup to make this the granny squares on point. So it started out with our little bunny, and then we've got our watering can, our flowers, and second row we have our butterfly, and then our basket. Okay, and then the third row, and this is my favorite, we have the bird. I mean, you gotta love the bird, and the bird house. And then I have to say, this is my absolute favorite one, the bumblebee. Like I said, a 9-week project, so it didn't take nearly as much time. And if you're interested in doing this, the blocks are still, the patterns are still available on her website, and I will link that in the description below for anyone that would be interested. She also has a similar pattern where it's the 9 blocks using the granny squares on point. She has one that she actually did at Christmas time. I did not do that one, but I can tell you I am planning to do it this Christmas. So even though she's already, like I said, the mystery part of it is over, you can still purchase the pattern on her site and do the same thing if you're interested. So anyway, this one is Springtime at Granny's, but she does have Christmas at Granny's as well. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of the video, and thank you for letting me show you these quilts that I've just completed. Like I said, this was a lot of fun, and I'm as excited about our Simply Sweet as I have been about these others, so I can't wait to see it come together, and we are so close to the end. So just to recap, so today we finished the 9 patch, and we put all of our blocks together in rows, and that is as far as we made it. It turned out to be a little more time consuming than I expected, but that's okay. This will be kind of a part 1 and a part 2. So on the next video, we're going to actually put all of our rows together, and then we'll go ahead and put our inner and outer border, and I'll actually make my binding. I'll go ahead and make that on the video next time. I think we'll see how long. Again, I always think it's going to take less time than it does, so we'll see. But I'm planning on trying to make that on the video as well. And then don't forget, in the description below, please let me know, should we include this? We have time. We'll put this on, if I do use it, it will be after the quilting is done. And it'll be kind of towards the end of the process. So definitely let me know. I want to get input, and if I have votes for, so I guess if you think I should add this, then give me a yes. Yes, add the rickrack trim, the vintage rickrack trim. If you say no, you don't need any more sweetness in it, which like I said, I'm really on the fence on this. Let me go ahead and put no. You don't think we should add anymore. So let me know your thoughts on that. And again, just a reminder what's coming up, because like I said, we are coming to the end, but we do still have some time on our Simply Sweet. Like I said, just like today took longer than I expected, we still have the basting, the quilting, and then of course binding, and that's after we finish putting it all together. So it's going to take still several more videos before we get it done, but we are getting close. But usually when I'm at this point in a project, I'm looking ahead and I'm just chomping at the bit to start a new project. So like I said, I have purchased, or actually I've had these patterns now for a while, but they're Lela Boutique's, 2 of her patterns. So if you're interested in getting either one of these patterns, I will include links to these. It's available from her site, or it's also available, and this is Lela Boutique for Vanessa Gertzen, but it's also available at a lot of your favorite, definitely Fat Quarter Shop has it, but certainly some others do as well. So if you're interested in joining us on either one or both of these sew-alongs, go ahead and purchase those patterns. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this rather long video, and I hope you join us next Saturday for our next session. And I may actually, instead of waiting till next Saturday, I may drop one more video this week. So if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like. We also have a Facebook group, Quilts Bloom at Dawn. I encourage you to check it out, and it is there for us to share our progress on whatever projects we're working on together, or whatever projects you're working on your own. We want to cheer you along. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, happy quilting.